My name is Ruby. Luca was the moon I measured every other guy against. His mom died giving birth to him, and his dad, though he kept a respectable job, was a drunk who dumped the baby on his own mother the first chance he got. So I got lucky. Luca and I grew up side by side. The textbook definition of childhood sweethearts. Except he never acted like the devoted hero in those romance novels. In real life we were buddies. The kind where I was basically the little brother he loved to pick on. One bright morning I was plodding to school in my baggy school uniform, grinning around a candied haw skewer, when he snatched it clean out of my hand. I cursed and chased his bike around the corner. My short legs no match for his speed. That was the day I vowed to learn how to ride. He kept showing off on 2 wheels, popping wheelies while I wobbled behind him and ate pavement. Once my skirt hem got chewed up by the chain, and Mom grounded me for ruining my favorite dress. We couldn't afford a replacement. Our clothes were hand-me-downs from older cousins. Guys could get away with that. I just looked like a scrappy tomboy, which Luca never let me forget. With 2 younger siblings at home, nobody worried about my protein intake. I stayed small, chopped my hair short, and in my brother's oversized uniform, the class decided I was Luca's blood brother. Thanks, everyone. The upside: teachers never suspected us of dating. High school hit and I swore I'd grow my hair so long Luca would finally notice I was actually a girl. But Luca misread the memo right when a new kid transferred in as Chase, and became my deskmate the same semester my hair brushed my shoulders. One afternoon Chase reached to touch the ends. I jerked away so hard the $2 bead bracelet on my wrist went flying. Our seats backed onto the broom closet. I was too embarrassed to crawl after it, so I pretended it never happened. After the final bell it was gone. I sighed on Eastbrook, eyes stinging, and Luca caught me. Regretting you didn't let Loverboy pet your head, he teased, ruffling my hair like I was a sad puppy. Plenty of fish in the sea. Kid, fish my butt. That bracelet had been the last one in the bin and cost me $10 whole, every cent I had. Luca the genius didn't get it, and I wanted to strangle him. Next morning Luca spotted me at the mouth of Eastbrook and kept his distance for 3 straight days. I wasn't even mad anymore. He just hadn't noticed. I walked into an almost empty classroom and found Chase alone wiping the blackboard. On my desk lay a crystal bracelet, milky white beads way classier than my lost plastic one. My heart did cartwheels. Maybe Luca had left it as a quiet apology. I waited by the bike rack after school, ready to forgive and forget. Luca never showed. His lock was still clicked shut. A classmate smirked. Looking for Luca. He left ages ago. The arts committee girl from next door walked him home. See ya. The beads cut into my wrist as I stormed off. That was when Luca and I started drifting. I heard about the class fishing trip from somebody else. The arts committee girl was the one grilling their catch. Big deal, I muttered. Hope she burns down the mountain. Didn't we all sign that no campfires pledge? Luca, carrying the trash can back inside, overheard and grinned. I shrank so low I swore I'd never sit by the garbage again. The bell rang. Luca didn't wait. After classes I stood alone on the sidewalk in my blue and white summer uniform, face pressed to a jewelry store window, staring at the white crystal bracelet on the plastic hand. Want it? A voice asked. I jumped. You? Chase stood beside me. No chauffeur in sight. Ruby, do you want that bracelet? I hesitated. A gentleman doesn't take what she can't earn. And Chase and I weren't close. Then again, how did you know today's my birthday? I blurted, desperate enough to follow him inside. The bracelet flashed tiny rainbows on my wrist all the way to the bus stop. When's your birthday? I asked. I'll get you something next time. Chase paused. Today. No way. I hooked my arm through his, dragging him to the new ice rink because why not? Turns out he skates like Bambi on ice, which explained the reluctance. Tired and giggly, we hit the bubble tea stand. He bought me a crispy waffle cone that tasted just like the ones Luca and I used to share. We passed the arcade and I tugged him inside. The claw machine's plushies were calling my name. Want to go? Chase asked. I nodded, but 2 attempts later the toy slipped at the last second. I burst out laughing. Your turn. Hot shot. Encouraged by Chase, I finally stepped up. I wrapped my fingers around the joystick, hit the button, and watched the giant claw drop dead center over a plushie. Just as I was secretly gloating and shot Chase a look, the doll slid off the claw with a whoosh, silkier than a Dove commercial. I pouted. Let's go. I'm never winning one. That night we had a ridiculous amount of fun. It was late, so Chase dropped me at my door before heading home. I still wanted more. Chase asked if I wanted to hike with him at sunrise that weekend. Several classmates were supposedly coming. I nodded yes. I wanted to see that sunrise too. A well-known little mountain sits near school. Pretty scenery, and tucked inside it is Pinecrest for tourists who want to relax. We showed up at the meetup spot. I blinked. How come you're the only one here? They all bailed. smiled. So, just the two of us. Questions bubbled up, but I swallowed them. We followed the trail upward, proudly putting geography class to work, naming fault lines, spotting sedimentary layers, deciding whether ridges were synclines or anticlines. My geo grades were shaky, so the lecture didn't last. We wandered to other topics. I'd climbed this mountain plenty of times, but I'd never once woken up early enough for sunrise. Being here with Chase felt new. Halfway up, drizzle, caused by the weird topography, caught us without umbrellas. Worried the rain would get worse. We turned back. No sunrise. I was gutted. Chances like that don't come around every weekend. While I comforted Chase, I was mostly soothing my own disappointment. News that we'd hiked alone zipped through the class group chat. I scolded the no-shows for ditching us. Days later, I heard Luca organized a fishing trip for the class and brought Stella from next door. I never doubted Luca cared about me. I secretly gloated for ages. He had to be jealous. Rumor said Luca turned down every activity except study hall because someone already owned his heart. Before I could check the story, life threw a curveball. The college entrance physical results came back. I stared at the blood type line, unable to breathe. I wasn't Ruby. A hospital mix-up 18 years ago had the Sterlings and my birth parents taking home each other's babies. Once they located me, I became Joan Sterling. Everyone called me by the new legal name. The Sterlings are loaded household names in the city. They're conglomerate everywhere. The instant the college entrance exam ended, they shipped me overseas. I only flew back for holidays. The family felt like polite strangers I could never join. The day my diploma landed, so did an arranged marriage. I had zero leverage to refuse. They paid for every meal, every stitch on my back. Payback was due. Never in my wildest dreams did I picture my groom being Chase, my middle school seatmate. Different colleges, zero romance. And then our parents hammered out the contract. He collects girlfriends the way other people collect sneakers. Why lock himself inside a tomb labeled matrimony? On our wedding night, I asked, why me? I still remember the answer. He toasted my looks, hooked an arm around me, and growled that he wanted me. So I played vase, pretty table decoration he could show off at business dinners. But he never once took me along. That sole function evaporated. He hired random dates instead, grinding my self-respect under his heel. At first I was naive. Then I spent too many nights alone. Pretty soon I stopped flinching at fresh gossip about whose waist my husband had around him this time. Until my best friend DM'd me an Instagram screenshot. A flirty, kitten-faced girl curled in Chase's lap, the Bulgari lobby glowing behind them. My shoulders shook. This paper marriage had long ago crossed into farce. Without loyalty, why should I stay loyal? 4 years in, still no baby. Not because I'm infertile. He only visits my bed on the wrong days. And the calendar count is humiliatingly low. So when I learned Luca's liver cancer required cash he didn't have, I stepped up and called him. Luca is my white moonlight, the crimson mosquito smear on the netting I could never swat. He's broke yet stubborn. No matter how badly he needs money, he refuses to peel off his pride and climb into my bed for the stacks of cash lying there. I urgently need a baby, even if someone else fathers it. Luca didn't look shocked when he saw me, but no sum I offered could make him take me. Now my mosquito bit of moonlight is running out of sand. Why not try to leave him a thread of blood? My husband will never know, even if he does. Let him drop dead, then I'll inherit. Of course I'm half joking. I can be deadly serious. And Luca will still say no. He turned and walked out. I chased the length of the corridor, but couldn't catch up. His silhouette slid into the elevator. By the time I reached it, the doors had sealed. What are you doing here? A chill crawled up my spine. I was about to be ice. Cheat on my husband for a deep conversation with the guy I once crushed on? My heart couldn't take the adrenaline. Honey, I'm checking in to wait for you. Chase's eyes darkened, still fixed on me. In front of him, I'm a mouse under a cat's paw. One swipe and I'm done. Sterling keeps hinting she wants grandchildren fast. I can't do that solo. So, go cancel the room. I'll come home early tonight. The final word had barely left his mouth when, from the direction he'd arrived, a petite kitten-faced woman appeared, greeted him with a bright smile, and pressed the elevator button. I might as well have been air. She moved with easy confidence, clearly close, very close, to Chase. Fine by me. Now I can chase Luca with a cleaner conscience. Night fell. I reheated dinner twice and finished most of it. No call, no text explaining where Chase was. The cavernous bedroom felt wrong no matter how I lay. Would it matter if I simply vanished? I stared at the empty half of the mattress. I should have been dozing off on Chase's shoulder. Disappointment stung, but Luca occupied me more. Without money he can't have surgery. He's waited so long that soon the only place we'll meet is the afterlife. I sent people to dig up Luca's address. Nothing. Word was he still shows at a certain studio on Eastbrook in Westside. The same streets I haunted as a kid. I looked up, and there it was, a wall still plastered with chaotic graffiti. Adolescence scrawled in day glow. Zero logic. All hormones. I knocked. The door opened, but the face belonged to the master's star pupil, not teacher Zhang. Aren't you going to invite me in? I asked. He just stood there, silent. A long silence passed before he finally said he didn't want to see me again. Not now. Not ever. The door clicked shut, and for the first time I caught sight of his back. Moonlight collapsing into frost. Ground under anyone's heel. I'd never seen him look so sickly. After getting the cold shoulder from Luca, I hailed a cab back to Emerald. Chase's car slid past mine at the gate. I yanked my gaze away before he noticed. Inside, I was still kicking off my shoes when the housekeeper told me the master had come home, found me out, and left again. No idea what he'd wanted. I switched my phone on. No messages. No missed calls. I scrolled our chat history. A grand total of 10 lines. I glanced at the screen. Still early. Dinner time far off. I clicked through channels. Nothing worth watching. Suddenly remembering something, I pushed off the couch. Did he say if he's coming back tonight? I asked the housekeeper. No, ma'am, he didn't. Skip dinner for me. I'll eat out. You can head home early. I went upstairs, showered, and hunted through the closet for the one outfit perfect for seeing Luca. He said he didn't want to see me. That doesn't mean I don't want to see him. He runs. I chase. He won't grow wings fast enough. Even a 1,000-year iceberg melts if a woman clings long enough. Right. I've never tried. So before he dies I want him to know, my heart never changed. At the hospital I asked what he had, same as his father, liver cancer. I waited outside the studio until the streetlights flicked on. He never showed. My fingers numbed, red from cold. The wind slashed my cheeks till they burned. I tilted my head. Between the bare ginkgo branches an orange lamp glowed, a lot like the pomelo lantern Luca once made me for mid-autumn. One more minute. I told myself, if Luca still doesn't come, I'll leave. Two headlights cut through the dark and hit my face. A black Cayenne crawled along the pitted cement. I stepped onto the sidewalk, hands in pockets, scouting for a place to flag a ride home. Instead, the Cayenne stopped in front of me. The window slid down, revealing a face as frosty as the night. Keep out signs everywhere. Get in. Chase glanced sideways, barked when I stood frozen. After a beat I opened the door and slid onto the rear seat, leaving space between us. What are you doing here? I kept my eyes on the window as the studio shrank and vanished. Unit 331 hit the market 2 weeks ago. I'm buying it for your birthday next month. My brows snapped together. You can't spend my birthday with me? Too busy. He dropped his gaze to the tablet. All English text. One glance bored me. I leaned over, rested my head on his shoulder, studying the sharp, indifferent lines of his profile. I brushed his face. He batted my hand away. Itchy. I tried again, poking the soft give of his cheek with a fingertip. Enough. His low, icy voice drilled through my eardrums. Fine. I muttered, withdrawing, deflated. Back home I ordered takeout. Starved. Chase rolled his eyes yet slurped spicy sweet potato noodles with gusto. You never let me eat takeout. But I'm addicted, I said, watching chili oil cling to his lip. I tore off a paper towel and offered it. He ignored it, leaning in so I'd wipe for him. I rolled my eyes right back. After dinner I watched TV, got bored, showered upstairs, found Chase hunched over his laptop. I was half asleep when he finally quit and woke me up. Jerk. If he couldn't sleep, nobody could. Gentle. I barely whispered before his mouth sealed mine. Rougher by the second, like our wedding night. Once the sweetness ended, he slipped off to shower. He came back distant, eyes cool. Who were you really waiting for in Eastbrook? Who else would I wait for? I sat up, wrapped my arms around his waist, burying my face in the clean scent of body wash, my heart bottoming out. This scrub down meant he'd rinse me off, then head to whichever woman was next. My place was clearly never where he spent the night. Lie to me, and you'll pay. Betray me. Your good life ends today. He yanked my hair so hard my scalp burned. The door slammed. My shoulders shook. I stayed frozen, eyes wide, red-rimmed, staring after him. Minutes. Hours. I don't know. My nose clogged. Head throbbed. Ears rang. I collapsed into bed. Ache sharpening. Buzz. Morning. Mom's call jerked me from a good dream. Any news in your belly yet? Nope. I tossed the phone. Rolled over. 4 years married. Just divorce already. Stop clinging. A hen that won't lay is useless. She nagged on, finally hanging up. Divorce. Hadn't crossed my mind. Leisure and bottomless money. Where would I ever find that again? I'm no fool. A few nasty lines won't ruin the rest of my life. Then it hit me. I hadn't gone to work in ages. I peered into the half-open closet where my suits had been shoved aside. Next minute, I was in the bathroom, then at the keyboard. Without asking Chase, I fired my resume to his biggest rival. As I typed, it felt familiar. Deja vu you can't quite place. The instant the email sent, I skimmed my old messages, mostly personal, nothing work-related. Page after page of girlish longing, love too big for the words. I checked the recipient, expecting Luca. It was Chase. I'd barely backed out of Emerald when my phone pinged. Donation refunded. Patient Luca has declined the charitable grant. He won't take my help. You can lead a horse to water. I don't get him. He's so sick. What grudge could outweigh staying alive? It actually left him so hollow that he didn't even have a reason to keep living. That didn't sound like him at all. I had to see him and ask for myself. I came to the studio again, but the door was still bolted. Out of options. I paid a locksmith to let me in. After all these years, I was back, staring at a room that looked nothing like the one I remembered. Every wall was covered with paintings, watercolor, oil, ink, pencil, yet they all depicted the same thing, a pair of eyes. I pulled out my phone, opened my selfies, and compared. The eyes in the paintings weren't mine. Disappointment and heartache hit me at once. I was pretty sure those eyes belonged to Stella. I picked my way through the cramped aisle of easels, paint tubes, and loose sketches to the right-hand wall by the window. Its bricks slathered in layers of Dayglow spray paint. I couldn't find the little stick-figured doodle Luca, and I had one laughed over. A few days later, I checked my inbox, still no replies. I hadn't job hunted in ages. Rejoining the workforce was harder than I'd thought. I'd grown used to silk sheets and breakfast on silver trays, and slipping back into a tight budget life was brutal. Better to plan ahead while I still could. When I finally landed a position, I kept worrying about Luca's illness, dropping by the studio whenever I could, hoping I might bump into him. Ever since he said he didn't want to see me, he had vanished. I'd searched every place I could imagine. In the blink of an eye, my birthday arrived. Mom called to ask how I was doing, her voice so timid it left me flustered. I was her biological daughter, but truthfully I was little more than a stranger she'd only found again, then married off within the year. Before the college entrance exam physical, I'd believed knowledge could rewrite fate, until the blood draw station rerouted my entire future. After I hung up, I still couldn't unwind. She also wondered why, after 4 years of marriage, I hadn't had a child. I laughed and told her, I'm not going to pin myself down with a baby. Whether he wants a divorce is already settled in his head. It's not up to me. Even with a child, we'd still split when the time comes. The party ended and he never showed. I'd meant to sit at home until sunrise, but then an impulse struck. There was one thing left I still wanted to do. I drove to West Side, relieved the mall hadn't closed yet. I bought a basket of tokens and stationed myself at the claw machines, vowing not to quit until I'd snagged a toy. A familiar figure stepped into view, eyes locked on the metal claw in concentration. I snuck up and slapped his shoulder hard. His hand jerked, and the plush he'd captured tumbled back into the pile. Hubby, did you really think you could play behind my back and actually win one? I teased, then challenged him to see who could grab more. He didn't go easy on me and ended up several toys ahead. We hit a street-side stall for late-night skewers. He drank beer while I stuck to Sprite since I was driving. He asked, half tipsy and out of nowhere, you know what I like most about you? Without thinking, I shot back, if you actually liked me, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. He nodded. Exactly. The only thing we had in common was that I didn't love him and he didn't love me. I'd known the score before the wedding. Chase was an illegitimate child. His mom transferred him to a public high school just so his father would feel sorry for him and haul him back into the family fold, letting him claim the true name instead of staying an outside bastard. If the two of us married, support from the Sterling family would catapult him forward and boost his shot at the inheritance. Fake turns real happens in other people's stories. In our mutually calculated deal, neither of us planned to ante up our heart. These days, he's already pocketed what he was after. What about me? Where's the part that was supposed to be mine? Whispers started on Instagram. I refused to believe them, but then classmates in Luca's old group chat began joining the send-off carpool for him. My tears wouldn't hold. The only person who ever truly loved me was gone. While I kept breathing, an open-ended sentence of pain. I wanted candied haw. Yet the moment I pictured no one pedaling over on a bike to snatch it from my hand anymore. I realized I wasn't the West Side who used to stall at the gate so she could time her exit with Luca's pass-by. When I was little, I couldn't wait to grow up, swearing I'd marry Luca and be his bride. We did grow up, but I never got to marry him. He died as alone as he'd lived. On burial day, I couldn't look straight at the black and white photo on his stone. I owe him too much. Summer ended. I brought in workers to refurbish the studio, planning to lease it to Wendy, a trainee art teacher at the nearby high school. When she stepped in, her eyes lit up, dazzled by the murals on the walls. Sterling, did you paint these? I shook my head. I can't draw a straight line, total lost cause. While the crew hauled canvases out, I pulled her aside. You should have called. The place is still a mess. I was afraid you'd take one look and bail. She smiled. I don't mind, they're beautiful. By the small flatbed she gazed at the stacked paintings in admiration. I paused. Then I won't cart them off. Better someone enjoy them than let them rot in storage. She beamed. Perfect. 6 months later my marriage was officially over. At the wedding Chase had sworn I'd be the only wife he'd ever take. Yet shortly after our quiet divorce he remarried. Low-key but definite. Wendy's internship finished and she was moving out. She asked me to come check the studio before handing back the key. Over the phone she said, Sterling, these eyes are all different sizes. If I piece them together they form a single picture. I shrugged it off. The studio had been scrubbed spotless. I pushed open the door to find her waiting inside. She pointed at the wall. Tada, surprise. Dozens of canvases, edge to edge, now formed one giant likeness, me, in high school uniform. I'd owned only one group photo my entire life, the graduation shot, and hadn't taken another since. Before moving into Emerald after the wedding I'd burned it. I never expected the girl in that picture would reappear before me like this. It hit me hard. My youth won't come back. And neither will the people who once shared it. All of them slipped away without a sound. Outside the window the ginkgo tree was already budding green, no longer skeletal and drenched in winter death.